as I mentioned before, the Walt Disney World opening day was in 1971 on October 1st, and Walt Disney himself did actually unfortunately die in 1966 of cancer, so he never actually got to see the opening day of Walt Disney World and died very early on when they were actually able to start building on the land, which is so sad because, as said at the start of this podcast, he was really interested in building this bigger community, really wanted to have an immersive experience for his guests, and just the fact that he never got to see that out fully, it's just really upsetting when it was obviously such a big goal of his, and he did take so long buying and acquiring all the land, and then he had the problems of the drainage. Obviously it's all very valuable time, which took up a lot of the last years of his life, which is honestly crazy and so sad to think. But luckily his brother Roy oversaw the project of Walt Disney World being built, specifically the opening of the Magic Kingdom and then the 2 hotels that opened the same day as that, Disney's Contemporary Resort and Disney's Polynesian Resort as well. And he ensured that these projects followed Walt Disney's brief and really what he envisioned for the park, and just respected his wishes of what he wanted Magic Kingdom and the hotels to be, which I think is so lovely that his brother kind of took the reins but still did it in his honour and made sure it was created just how it was intended to be, which is so special. Again, I don't want to say it's too much because I want to do a whole separate podcast about it, but down Main Street, Roy O. Disney does have his own window, and of course so does Walt Disney as well, so you can look out for them too. So when the day October 1st, 1971 finally came around, Magic Kingdom officially opened, and so did the 2 hotels, and Roy O. Disney actually gave a very special speech on opening day 2, which is so heartwarming. Again, it's on YouTube if you want to go and watch it. Such an amazing speech and really heartfelt. And just honestly, what an achievement and accomplishment was this for the Walt Disney World Company. It was literally such a progression point in the business's life, and it is still massively enjoyed to this day, which is crazy. So even though a few people were skeptical at first, overall Walt Disney World was a major economic development project for Florida. It created thousands of jobs for people and also helped growth for different industries in Florida, such as tourism, hospitality, and retail. It was a massive boom for the state, and a lot of people that were negative about it in the beginning kind of did warm to it as time went on, and obviously it was bringing in more money for the state as well, so created a better quality of life for a lot of different people. And to this day, Disney has continued to do that. It invests and expands its offerings all the time. As I mentioned at the start of this podcast, there is always something new there every single time I visit. I think even if you visited every 3-4 months, you would still see something new or something being built or something changing, which again was a big value of Walt Disney as well. He never wanted to sit still. He never wanted something to stay as it was. He always wanted to change with the times and learn more things, introduce new things, which they're definitely keeping up with Florida still to this day, even though it's been over 50 years since he's passed away, which I honestly love. It is so special and just so nice to see that they're sticking to their roots and again Walt Disney's beliefs and values. So we can see this a lot through all of the parks with the addition of new rides, attractions, hotels, and that the resorts have been updated with new technologies, mobile apps, virtual queues. Even the level of their animatronics now is completely different to what they were at the very beginning, which is obviously just keeping Walt Disney World always current and modern and just more exciting to visit, sticking with the times, and yeah, just making it somewhere that people continuously want to go and visit. I think that's the main reason Disney was so interested in always doing something new, always changing stuff, always upgrading stuff when he could. Once, I believe in Disneyland, California, he heard a conversation between a dad and a daughter, I think. The daughter asked if they could go on the Jungle Cruise ride, and the dad said, "No, we're not going on that. We've already been on that. Why would we go on that again? Like when we last came here, we went on that. So it would be the same," which again, he absolutely hated that people were thinking like that, had that mentality that if they had ridden it once, why would they ride it again? If you had visited Disney World once, why would you go again? which obviously is not good for a business if you want it to continue to make money. Also not very good for the magic as well. Obviously you want people to be excited about going to Disney World, excited to go on holiday and spend their time there. And if they're just feeling like they've seen it all before, that's going to become boring very, very quickly. So that is why the Walt Disney Company continues to develop and work on absolutely everything across all the different parks across the world, because they never want to settle and keep still and allow people to almost get bored of their offerings. They want to keep people excited. They want to keep people on the edge of their seats trying to see what's going to happen next from Disney, which again is honestly such an important business mindset to have. And not just for business, but also for just like human emotion and excitement. You've always got to keep in mind how you're going to make people feel, which Disney definitely does, which is honestly why I love it so much. Now, I feel like I've literally been talking forever. So before I go, I just want to leave with one more little fact. So obviously throughout this podcast, we have been talking about the quantity of Walt Disney World, how much land it covers. But one other interesting little secret is only around half of the land has been used and is being used currently in Florida. And as I mentioned, it is huge. Like, it is no joke. It is a massive, massive resort. I think it's got about 30 hotels on, might even be more than that. Obviously the 6 parks. It's got 3 or 4 golf courses. It's got a whole shopping centre. It's got a whole different estate for all the people that are working there from abroad to stay on, as well as a fire station, as well as its own like green areas. It's got the boardwalk. It's just crazy. It's huge. So the fact that it has only used half the land just means there is still so much space for it to develop and grow. And I can only imagine like how big the amount of land they actually have is, and what their plans are for the future as well. I also find it interesting in the sense that a lot of the development they're doing at the minute, they're knocking down old attractions or old places and rebuilding them or building new stuff on them. But if they've only used half their space, why are they getting rid of old rides? Why are they not just expanding? But there's probably a whole different set of reasons and answers to why that is. But I would just personally feel like instead of getting rid of old attractions and places, why not just expand and introduce new ones on top of the old ones? But like I said, it's not my company, and I still really love everything that Walt Disney World has done. But I just find it fascinating that there's still about around half of that land they still have to develop on, if they ever wanted to in the future, or they might just keep it as green to kind of seclude Walt Disney World in its own little resort. But it's honestly insane. And when you start thinking about the quantity of land they have already and the fact they could potentially double that in the future, I'm gonna honestly have to start booking longer holidays there. I'm gonna start having to go for a month plus if they keep building it out. Honestly, there is so much to see at the moment, and if they introduce even more, it's going to be a serious operation visiting there.